Welcome to an episode of Founder in the Chair. I'm your host, Veena, and today my guest grew up in a challenging and often dysfunctional family, spending years feeling lost and escaping into fantasy whenever possible. After 15 years working as a civil servant and searching for direction, one introductory counselling course changed everything. Training as a counsellor not only transformed his life, but also the lives of the many people he has supported since, and he has never looked back. Over the years, he has worked as a school counsellor, clinical supervisor, couples therapist, and a tutor, gaining deep insight into resilience, empathy, despair, and the courage people carry. His own journey went on to inspire his novel, The Bus Driver's Son, a powerful story of family, adversity, self-discovery, dual identities, healing, and hope. He brings that same warmth and steady support into all of his work, helping others find clarity, purpose, and meaning in their lives. He believes small changes can lead to big transformations and is passionate about walking alongside people as they rebuild and step into the best versions of themselves. So I'm so excited to welcome Sukvinder Grewal into the Founders Chair. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. I know you've had a bit of a long journey.
Yes, but it's I used to live in London many years back, so it was nice to be back.
Lovely. Whereabouts? Somewhere local around here?
Actually, I've lived in a couple of places. I've lived in Camden, Euston, Hampstead, so I was all over the place actually because it was through work. So I used to travel quite a lot wherever they would, because I'd worked for a security company.
Okay.
And so they would put us up in places and wherever they would say. So I was continually moving.
All right. Well, Thank you for coming back down today. Yes. So I first saw you on social media with your book, The Bus Driver's Son.
Yeah.
So I know we're going to talk about that. But what was the motivation to change your career path and train as a counsellor? Did you have any doubts on your journey?
Yes. I mean, I was a civil servant for many years. And being a civil servant, I always felt at the back of my mind that actually there's something more for me. And I don't know what it was, but it was always eating away. And I think I'd been there for about nearly 15 years. And I then decided, you know what, I'm going to do something. And the one thing that had always stuck with me, my father said it, and a lot of people that I worked with, they would always say to me, you know what, you're really good. Like when you talk to people, and an example was my manager, they had a government minister, junior government minister, and she goes, Suky, I want him to sit in with you. And I said, well, why me? You've got more senior staff. And she goes, no, I like your tact. I like the way you speak. And he sat in with me. And then I thought, you know what? And even something my dad said to me when I was really young, he goes, you know, you've got a way with words. And he goes, you know what? Maybe you should think, you know, further down the line, if you're going to do a job where maybe you're supporting people, with using words as, you know, communication is really powerful, he said. And I thought, you know what? I thought, well, what can I do? And for some reason, I looked into counselling because I'd always been interested in psychotherapy, psychology. And I did an introductory course. It was literally 7 weeks long. And when I did it, it sort of planted a seed. And I thought, you know what? This is something I think I can do. And alongside, before I knew it, I was studying, deep into study, whilst full-time working as a civil servant. And it took me, I think, in total, maybe 4.5, 5 years because I took a break as well.
Right.
You know, I had lots of things going on. So that was that particular journey, training alongside being a civil servant, running on my placements, doing things. So, but that was the actual, it was that counselling course that changed everything for me. Because it just gave me an insight as to and even the tutor, I remember saying to me, she goes, you know, I would really like you to consider doing the next one. She goes, because we did some things like simple exercises. She goes, I can see something in you. She goes, consider it. And then before I knew it, I was training.
You was doing it.
Yeah.
So going back to Suky as a child.
Yes.
Were you always that person that people came to for advice or seeking help or guidance?
I think maybe I remember sort of in the teenage years, I definitely was, when I come out of my shell somewhat, people would share a lot with me. And I remember thinking, well, why is somebody sharing so much? And I think, if anything, I was a good listener. And I don't think I was judgmental or critical. And I think that's the one thing that maybe helped people open up. And it wasn't that I would give loads of advice, but I would listen, not be judgmental, and at least try to empathize. That's a difficult position. I wonder what it would feel like if I was in your position. And I think people maybe like that, and they could share things with me. But maybe in my younger years, I suppose I was a bit more withdrawn, a bit more quiet. But maybe as teenage years, I was a bit more. I started to, be a bit more vocal.
So the journey started when you were younger.
Yes. I mean, even then, one of the things where people think, oh, I'm a great listener. And when I was training, then you find out just how much of a good listener you think you are, but are you really? And even that took me sort of by surprise, because there's lots of things you do when you're training to be a therapist. And but I think there was definitely, I did have some of those qualities. I would think so.
So after finishing your training,
Yeah.
how soon after did you leave your civil servant job?
Well, I said to myself, as soon as I qualified, I'm going to do my best to move on within 6 months. I was given an opportunity, and I remember going for the interview, and I had the interview, and he says to me, he goes, I know I'm going to give the job to you. But I said, you told me you've got other people to interview. Because I know, but I just kind of think I know what I'm looking for. And I said, what's the catch then? I did ask, what's the catch? And he says, it's 6 months only contract. And obviously civil servant, a job for life.
Yeah.
Bonuses and all sorts of things, pensions. And then I said, so what does that actually mean? He goes, at the end of the 6 months, I'm going to review whether I like you, whether we get the funding. And I just decided to say, that's it. I went for it. I told my manager at work, and as soon as I told him, he said, can I have a word with you in the office? He goes, I don't want to lose you. He goes, what do you need? He goes, can I change, give you a different job? You're looking for a promotion? And I remember saying to him, it's too little, it's too late. I've come too far to go back. I left, and I've never looked back for one day. And to be honest with you, there's never been a day that I've been out of work. I've always worked.
So that job after 6 months, did they keep you on?
Kept me on.
Are you still there?
No, I've left that, but I had my own private practice alongside that as well.
Right. As a counsellor?
Yeah, as a counsellor, because I was always, on the side. I was working there was a counselling charity, so I was working for them, but I also did my own work on the side as well as a private therapist.
So for someone who's listening right now and they're thinking, I need to leave my full-time job, but there's the job security, like you said, the pension, sick pay, holiday pay.
Yes.
And they're thinking, okay, I've done this course, but they haven't left their job yet.
Yes.
Because they're scared. What would you say to them?
Well, you know what? All I would say is, what I said to myself was, imagine if I didn't leave the civil service 25, 30 years down the line. I wonder then, if I knew I had a skill or a quality or a qualification, why didn't I risk it? And actually, and the worst case scenario was, I thought, now if I reflect on it, say if it didn't work out, I could still always pick up that type of work. So I would definitely say, what you're putting on the line, but what's the benefit in that? What are you going to be exposed to? So many different opportunities, different people, different places you could be taken. So yes, definitely, if you feel that you've got something, some qualities, some skills, something that you've got to offer, I would definitely say seriously consider it, because there's nothing probably worse than reflecting back on your life and thinking, only if, why didn't I try it? And actually, there was somebody who sat next to me. He was much older than me. I think he was in his 60s. And he actually says to me, he goes, Suky, can I ask you, what are you doing here? And he goes, He goes, I've been here 40 odd years, but he goes, you've got a chance. He goes, if you get an opportunity, don't for a heartbeat, don't consider it. And actually, I remember before I left, I shook his hand. Thank you very much for that, because that always stuck with me. He goes, what are you doing here? You've got something about you. He goes, exploit it. He goes, and what's the worst? You could always come back. So
And they'll take you back.
more than likely.
Yeah,
Yes.
Of
Yes.
course. I love that.
Yeah.
So don't live with any regrets is
Yes,
basically
definitely.
what you're saying.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Suky, what doors opened up to you once you qualified as a therapist and the diverse clients that you got to work with?
Okay. I mean, because part of the first job that I got with the counselling charity, I was doing work in schools. So I did work in primary, secondary schools, and I was also working with adults as well, but more so with younger people. And then further down the line, I sort of I was working with private clients as well in my own practice, and then I also got into I'm a couples counsellor, and I also am a clinical supervisor. So I support younger, trainee therapists, qualified therapists, and because of the confidence that I had, I also went into tutoring, teaching. So I did a bit of that. And believe it or not, one thing I always wanted to do, but I never did when I was younger, and people probably thought I was mad, that in my 30s, I started to do sort of martial arts. So I practiced, and I became a judo coach. So I was teaching younger people in my spare time and adults. So there were so many doors, and I go back to that moment that that basically I remember when I was training, and my tutor said something to me that always stuck in my mind. And she always said to me, she goes, just imagine you've got the key to your future. It's in your hands. You've got to unlock where it is you want to go. And I suppose because I was always willing to put in the additional work, and I'll give you an example of this. As I was training as a civil servant in the job centre, on my lunch break, there was no way for me to work my placement hours. And my manager she goes, I can do something for you. She goes, I can allow you to have a longer lunch, but you're going to make it up. And I said, okay. So I would literally run to my placement, because it wasn't far off, run there, pick something from Greg's, run along. And you know what? Sometimes I'm meant to see 3 clients back to back. Sometimes 1 would turn up, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, and other times none. So just imagine there for 3 hours, nobody's turned up, going back, still having to finish, and I would be the last one on my computer. The cleaner would be sometimes going in and out.
Because you've got to make up the hours.
I've got to make up the hours. But I was always willing to dig down deep, do what I had to. And then, ultimately, because, the one thing, I've met so many different people. I've met people from around the world, local. Even now I'm working with clients from, all over the globe. I've met people from so many diverse, I've met people from TV, radio, people from the business industry, and I've worked with so many diverse people, and I do feel quite blessed that I've had an opportunity, and it's a very privileged position, because you have to remember, people are sharing absolutely everything with you, and they'll say, sometimes it's quite common, and probably therapists will tell you that, I've never shared that with anybody, not even with my partner or my parents or my friends. And so you recognise it's a very privileged position. And so you have to really take that seriously as well. So it's opened so many doors, and eventually as well, it's sort of propelled my writing as well, because I've always had writing ambitions, even as a child sort of growing up. I've always liked stories and stuff. But this, I think, because of the actual career and the studying, the people I've met, it's sort of, I've gained more momentum to do what I want, and having the confidence to do it as well.
I love that for you. I can just hear and see the passion. So Suky, what inspired you to write The Bus Driver's Son? And where did that passion come to write that?
Okay, that's a great question. And as a child growing up, sort of in the 80s, my dad, he was quite into like Bollywood, the old like 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And so he would always take me to the cinema, and then I used to love the stories, like in that era, the sort of the actors, there was like Amitabh Bachchan, like the really big actors, the songs.
Yeah.
But I was always mad about the stories, like I'd always think that's the hero, that's the villain, that's the challenge.
Yeah.
So I was always into the stories, and that led on. I also loved Hollywood, and I loved to read. So sort of even at a young age, and even in my teenage years, I was always writing stories. I mean, very simple stuff, like maybe 2, 3, 4 pages, something that I would like, simple stuff. And then I carried that on with me, and I started to write shorter stories. And before I got to this, I was writing just short stories, maybe about 10, 12 pages long. And that sort of, because I slowly wanted to build myself up. I didn't feel that I could write a big novel. And so with this book in particular, believe it or not, as a civil servant, I was thinking, how can my first novel, I want it to be special. What's it going to be about? And then it dawned on me, why am I looking externally and looking at the world for inspiration? How about my own story? And then for some reason, I just thought about, the title come to my head first, The Bus Driver's Son, because my dad was a bus driver. And at work that day, on my phone, on my pad, I scribbled so much between every bit on telephony. And somebody next to me goes, Suky, I hope you don't mind me asking, what are you doing? You
Are you actually doing any work today,
yeah.
Suky?
And I said, no. I said, it's all work related. Oh, clearly they knew it wasn't. And then I did formulate the title, The Bus Driver's Son. And I actually writ, in that afternoon, I writ the prologue.
Wow.
So that's the opening of the book.
Yeah.
And that's my dad driving a bus on his shift.
Yeah.
And I did that. And, so that's how it got started. Because apart from that, I didn't really know where am I going to take it from there.
Yeah.
But at least I knew that I had got that bit and the title. And over time, it kind of shaped up from there, because then I started to introduce, because it's set in the 80s, and I've kind of kept it relatively simple, like Sukvinder, the central character, his family, he's got a couple of friends, he's going to school, it's a summer period, so I try to keep it simple, and actually there's many of my own personal experiences that I experienced, but I put it into that character. And some of the and I think the backbone of the book is probably the relationship between Sukvinder and his father Balveer, and everything else is sort of playing alongside that. So that's where the inspiration for the book came from, because and people ask, well, why The Bus Driver's Son? Because when I was growing up, when I would meet a lot of people, they always knew my dad as a bus driver. And so many people, especially older sort of uncles and aunties, you're that bus driver's son. Or when I'd go to the pub sometimes with a friend of mine, isn't your dad the bus driver? Because he'd always see him coming in with his... And I said, yes. So I said, why not call it The Bus Driver's Son?
I love that.
Yeah,
I really love that.
Yeah, that's where it's from.
That's so cool. So if there's someone listening now and they really want to write a book as well. So obviously you were at work, the idea came to you, and then how long did it take you to write the whole book?
Okay. In probably total, because of the journey, because I had lots of things in between as well, it probably took me around 11 to 12 years, because I had the idea and I was working on it, because things were happening as well alongside, like family, work, and then I would start and then I would stop and start, because my working as well, because the hours of work sometimes, they're quite long, And so then sometimes I wasn't always feeling energetic to write it, and sometimes I'd get a writer's block because originally it was a totally different story. I think there's probably about 58,000 words. The original draft that I wrote, it had more than 80,000, and it was very dark. It wasn't like this. So then I was thinking, do I really want to do that? And then I was sort of thinking, which direction should I, and hence why it took such a long time. Then I just thought, eventually, I'm just going to have to bite the bullet, find the direction that appeals to me, that I think people would possibly appeal to them as well. And that's what I went with. That's why it took such a long time.
And then how did you publish it? How did you go about publishing your book?
Yes, I mean, for myself, I was happy to sort of self-publish the book. So there was a lot that I had to work on. I mean, I had to get someone to help me proofread it. And I was always open. There were some other people that I knew who also had written books. So I was always looking to get any inspiration. Is there anything you could suggest? And even as even to the cover itself, that cover, all the ideas were mine for the cover.
I love it. I love
all aspects of that.
So explain to me what's
okay.
All of that.
So then, in the central character Sukvinder, he fantasizes a lot, and he's really into comics, Superman. So here, if you look at
the cape.
That's the cape.
Right.
And then if you look very close on the side that's flashing by, that's a bus. On that one, it's a bus. So just imagine now.
There.
Yeah, that's a bus. And then in the corner there, you've got a group of books. There's a bunch of books there. There's a particular scene where the father, he introduces Sukvinder. He says to him, "You're mad about comics and all these heroes. How about finding out about real heroes?" He takes him to the library and he introduces him to a book. And it's a book on Punjabi, sort of Punjabi history and sort of Punjabi warriors. And he starts to read that. So when he's thinking about, wow, I love all Batman and Superman and all these comics, but they were real life heroes. And Bhagat Singh there, there's a chapter on him in the book. And then in the corner, right in the corner, that's Maharaj Ranjit Singh from Punjab, because there's a section in the book that he reads. So then when he reads about them in the book, he's really, really blown away, because this isn't sort of make-believe, it's real stuff. And so at the back, can you see at the back of the cover, I had the British flag and the Indian flag, and there's the way I put it at the back is it's torn, like it's ripped out, because I wanted to, because in the book as well, it delves very much about somebody, how do they balance that dual identity. Like, for example, when he's very much at home, Indian, Punjabi, but then as soon as he's out there, it's having to sort of, deal with sort of bullying, racism, and feeling like he doesn't belong. So he's always torn. So I had to sort of think what, even the cover, like, so I learned a lot about publishing, editing side of things, designing a cover, and even things like promotion as well. I mean, because remember, this was all new to me. Prior to this, I did actually release it was a novella, a short story in 2022. It was called Protector, but that is totally different. It's a supernatural thriller. So basically, that was set in America, and and the central character, his parents are murdered by a demon, and then he actually finds out, as he's trying to sort of find out what happened, that his parents were demon hunters, and that's an idea that I've got, that I wanted to make a collection of 3 books. I'm actually working on the second on that. But I thought that was easier for me to do that, because this was much more personal, and I didn't feel I was up to that. So hence why that's my first novel.
I love that. And how do we buy this? Through Amazon?
Yeah, it's available through Amazon on ebook and also paperback as well.
I love
and
that.
I've actually got because a few people have asked me, have you got a Punjabi translation? I've actually got someone who's finished the Punjabi manuscript, so it's going to be released on Punjabi as well. Because I've asked a few people who've asked me, we would really appreciate if it was a Punjabi translation. So I'm working on that as well.
Brilliant. I love that. Well done. So, what does the future hold for you, and what projects are you currently working on? I know you told me your second book. Is there anything else? Any other teasers or hints that you want to tell us about your upcoming work?
Oh yes, in terms of my writing, there's quite a few things that I've got in the pipeline. I've got a book on poetry, so I've got a collection of poetry that possibly I'm looking to release. I've got a few shorter stories as well. I've got at the moment, I've got a murder mystery set in an academy in England, and one of the students is murdered, and then one student and a group of students take it upon themselves to find out what happened. And it's sort of like, cause as a child growing up, I used to love Sherlock Holmes, things like that, and sort of anything to do with like murder, mystery, suspense. So that's something that I'm working on. And I've got a few projects that are set in India as well, because I'm one of the things that I'm interested is I've always been interested in other parts of the world. I mean, I've written a short story about a young girl in Afghanistan, one of a married woman in Gujarat. These are short stories, and there's another one that are set in America. But the one that I'm working on as well at the moment is it's a novel, and it's set in Patiala, and it's about a daughter whose family is murdered, and it sort of goes into like police corruption, government corruption, and she takes it upon herself to sort of stand up and fight for justice. So that's something that I'm working on. So there's lots of projects that I've got, but then I suppose it's about choosing which one I want to focus on and finish. But I've got quite a few up and coming, and believe it or not, I've got a follow up. I've got a very, very loose draft for a follow up to The Bus Driver's Son.
Brilliant, I love it. I'm travelling this weekend. I'm going to be taking your book with me.
Yeah.
So I will read a couple of bits out on socials to share with
fantastic,
people.
thank you.
And so all your books are self-published?
Yes, they are.
So if someone's listening and they're thinking, is that a scary process? Is it reasonably easy? Is it hard?
I think it's something that if you're receptive and if you're up for the challenge, then I don't think it doesn't have to be any harder, because you do get a lot of support. If you think about it, you could always go online. If you go on YouTube, and there's lots of different podcasts and people who share like their own journey. So I think there's plenty of support and guidance. But I think more importantly, you've got to make the decision, like, this is something that I want to do. Because once I made the decision, then there was no turning back. Because the deeper I got into it, the more I was invested into it, the more exciting it was. So definitely, I think lots of people do it. I mean, I know a lot of people who have done it. So don't feel that you can't do it. And the tools are there. The support is there as well online, and you can talk to people as well. And yeah, definitely, I'm definitely all for people saying, you know what, I've got a story and I want to share it. Why not?
So if someone's listening and they want to reach out to you, you're happy to support them?
I'm more than happy to support anybody. I've had a couple of people who have reached out to me, and I've given them some support and guidance, and just reflect of my own reflections. But like I say, in this day and age, it is possible because so many people are doing it. And like I say, I think more than anything, it's about, like, if you feel that you've got something and you want to share it, then definitely, and I'm more than happy for anybody to reach out to me personally as well.
Perfect. So there you go. You heard it. Suky is more than happy for you to reach out to him for any support and guidance on writing a book and publishing it. So Suky, you told me that you wrote a poem.
Oh, yes.
On the way here. So shall we hear it?
Yes. One moment. Yes, there is a poem. And as I was on the train here, and I thought, yes, I scribbled something down, and here it is. I'm a seeker of my soul. Every thread of knowledge I demand, past, present, future in my hand. With every moment I strive to stand the test of time. Silent whispers in the air guide me closer to the dreams laid bare. Through pain and joy I find my way. Karmic threads weave night and day. Fear not, my beloved, near and dear, for I rise above doubt, casting out fear. The founder in the chair, so bold, masters their fate, their stories unfold. With courage as my steadfast guide, in this journey I will abide, to destinations both wild and unknown. In my heart the seeds of strength are sown. Liberated from the illusion, the blinding light guides me home. No need to cry or feel afraid. All you know and feel inside, you keep until the end of time. Open your eyes, your dream is still alive.
I love that. And you just wrote that coming down?
As I was coming up, it was a long journey, so just scribbled it down until I found something that I thought I quite liked that.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much for coming down. So the book is available now, and all the other books that you've written, all on Amazon as well?
Yes, the other book, the novella, Protected, that's also on there as well.
Perfect. So we will have the links below to buy them. Is there any, how do people get hold of you? Where do you hang out? Is it Instagram, TikTok?
Yes, I'm on Instagram, and also you could, I've my website as well. It's on my Instagram page as well. I'm on Facebook. It's sukvindergrewal.com. So that on there, you've got the links to my books. You've got my, if somebody's interested in working with me one-to-one, as if they feel they need any therapy, you've got my work bio in there as well. You've got all the links. You've got some reviews as well on the website.
So your website, Instagram, Facebook. Any other platform?
No, those are the main ones.
They're the main ones. No TikTok yet?
No, not TikTok yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.